Prince Street, August 14th, a Soho bar, a speakeasy. It's you and me and I'm feeling free.
Hello. Today's video is going to be a little bit odd. I know from the title, you know, you expect this to be about cute dogs and everything. It's actually not going to be about cute dogs. I mean, they're still cute, but there's one thing as a tourist, and even Cambodians should be aware of this, that there's a major problem in Cambodia with street dogs. And if you are walking around Cambodia, you'll run into them, especially at night, and they kind of travel in little packs, and sometimes they'll growl and snap at you and things. And, you know, sometimes they'll even bite you, which is kind of what I want to talk about. Because in the West, like, if you're bitten by a dog, you immediately go to the hospital and get a shot, even though it's probably not going to be, you know, much of a problem, but we do it as a precaution there, so just to make sure that nothing happens. And, you know, along this, this subject line, you can pretty much tell what I'm going to talk about. Like, in the West, and, you know, in, you know, advanced, or not advanced, but like developed countries, like rabies isn't much of a problem. But here in Cambodia, that's not the case. In Cambodia, rabies is very common, extremely common, more than you would expect. So there are about 25 million dogs running around Cambodia, some owned, some not. But the one thing these dogs all have in common is that most of them are not vaccinated. It's not so much a problem for the dogs, it's more of a problem for you. And I'm speaking to the expats, tourists, and also the Cambodians watching. So in Cambodia, like, most people don't vaccinate their dogs, and there's also the problem of, in Cambodia, sometimes people have like a bigger dog and they don't want to keep it in their yard or whatever, so they just let it run around on the streets. So you can kind of see the problem with that is that they're running around with street dogs too and getting bit and licked and all kinds of things, and it's just increasing the chances of, you know, them bringing back rabies to their family. So yeah, so if you're a Cambodian, definitely don't let your dog run around on the street. I know you probably won't listen to me, but, you know, that's a bit of advice if you don't want your whole family to die. And yeah, so usually in Cambodia, there's a lot of people bitten by dogs. Like, yearly, about 600,000, I believe the statistic is. And if you're in the city, most of the time you'll go and get, you know, a rabies shot, like get vaccinated and, you know, deal with that at the hospital. But people in the countryside usually don't. They either go to some kind of shaman or something like that, which usually doesn't end well for them. Because you might not realize this, but rabies is actually the most lethal disease on the planet. If you have rabies, you can go to the hospital, get your shots and everything, and it's 100% curable at that point. Unless symptoms have started to appear. If symptoms have started to appear, then you have a 99.9% chance of dying. And not just a normal death. This is like a really horrible death. It's the kind of death where you're foaming at the mouth because your mouth is producing, you know, too much saliva. You also are having trouble swallowing, so you develop a fear of water, and you also develop a fear of wind or any kind of air touching you, and you just you know, you dehydrate like extremely bad, and your muscles tense up. Like, it's a really horrible death. A lot of times in the provinces, if someone goes to the hospital presenting with symptoms of rabies, they just send them home because there's nothing they can do for them at that point. There's only been like one person who survived after being diagnosed with rabies, and that was a girl in America somewhere. But the chances of you having the same result here in Cambodia are very slim. So my advice to you is, don't go up and try to pet the dogs. any dog, even a tiny one. It could be the cutest dog, it could be a puppy. Don't go up and try to pet it. Cats aren't really a problem here because cats in Cambodia will run away from you. They won't let you pet them at all. And so if you see a dog, stay away from it completely. You can, if you want to leave food out for it, fine, but don't go anywhere near the dog when you're putting food out. Like, I have no problems with people feeding dogs, but like, if you go up and try to feed them when they're around, they might bite you and then you might die if you don't take care of it. Like, so rabies is a very big problem here. So you need to be careful. You're not in your home country. Like, it's not as safe here in that regard. Like, really nothing's being done for the rabies problem. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. So make sure you're extra safe here, because a lot of people don't think about rabies just because it's kind of like an old disease that doesn't really cross your mind. But you have to also realize there are a lot of old diseases here in Cambodia. There's tuberculosis, plague, polio. There's all kinds of things that you don't really consider as a safety concern, but you definitely need to if you're coming to a developing country. So this is advice for expats, for tourists, for Cambodians themselves. Like, avoid, stray dogs, avoid your friends' dogs, avoid any dog that goes outside, any dog that hasn't been vaccinated. So before you pet a dog, make sure it's been vaccinated. Yeah, so, and if you do get bit, get to the hospital like within an hour, because the symptoms could appear within a day. They could appear in 6 years, so you never know. But once the symptoms appear, you're dead. So yeah, I know this video is kind of dark, but it's a very big warning on this. So I want to make sure you know about it so that you don't become a statistic. All right. So other than that, I will talk to you later, and maybe soon I'll make the Silk Island video that a lot of viewers voted on, and but I have to arrange that, so probably next weekend or the weekend after maybe. But other than that, I will talk to you later.
It's crazy how everyone lives out